There are two types of people in the world. People who watch anime and people who don't even know the proper way to pronounce it. Anime has become a large part of not only Japanese culture, but even the world's culture. Even our parents likely watched an anime at some point in time. I know mine watched Speed Racer. I also knew who Astro Boy was. Many people have watched it without knowing, and perhaps that allowed some to enjoy it without considering themselves weebs out of fear that it would make them uncool. Me, I wear it like a badge of honor, and so do so many other people. No matter where you go, you'll find someone wearing an Ichiraku Ramen shirt, or dyeing their hair blonde and spiking it up, and heavens help you if you go to a comicon. Recently, it's been a pretty big year for anime, with shows both new and old debuting their most recent episodes, and even some movies. But beyond that, even old anime that's no longer in serialization is still quite popular. I can think of a few right off the top of my head. And so, today I would like to devote this video to celebrating these anime and putting them in a top 10 list of the most popular anime this year. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. Also, be sure to check and see if you're still subscribed. YouTube has been unsubscribing people lately for whatever reason, and we just want to make sure that you don't miss out on any more of our videos. With that out of the way, let's get to the video proper. Number 10. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Also known better by the name Demon Slayer, this anime has been popular for quite a while. Ever since the drop of the movie Mugen Train, it has picked up steam, and I'm not just saying that as a pun. The hype only grew larger with the release of the Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles video game and the anime adaptation of the Entertainment District arc. People love this stuff. The story centers around a young man named Tanjiro Kamado who possesses a keen sense of smell and a heart as big as all outdoors. His story starts when his sister Nezuko is the only one to survive an attack by demons while Tanjiro is out. She only survived due to being turned into a demon, and this causes strife. She attempts to kill Tanjiro at first, but is stopped by Gyo Tomioka, the Water Hashira, one of the 9 pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps, a group of humans who have made it their mission in life to eradicate demonkind by finding and destroying their king, Muzan Kibitsuji. After his determination proves his worth to Tomioka, the Water Hashira decides to spare them. Tanjiro would then make his way to the home of Sakanji Urokodaki, the former Water Hashira and teacher of Tomioka. While there, Urokodaki teaches Tanjiro the mysterious techniques known as total concentration breathing, a technique that brings out your full potential and may or may not cause your weapon to form elements. All through this, Tanjiro desperately trains, giving it his all to become strong enough to join the Demon Slayers in hopes of finding and eradicating demons, and learning the cure that will return his sister to her former humanity. During this time, Tanjiro masters his technique at a startling pace, and is even able to enter Final Selection, a survival process used to determine who is worthy of joining the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro is among only 5 survivors, and as such is officially made a Demon Slayer. But things aren't so easy, as there are stronger demons out there, such as the 12 Kizuki, a group of demons that stand right below Muzan Kibitsuji himself. Among these demons there are 2 classes: the upper ranks of the Kizuki and the lower ranks. The difference in power between these two is incredible, almost incomparable, and these are demons Tanjiro will encounter. During his time as a demon slayer, Tanjiro meets Zenitsu Agatsuma, a coward of a demon slayer who has a hidden second personality which only comes out when he's asleep. He also meets Inosuke Hashibira, a young man from the mountains who raised himself in the wilderness. All 3 of these, plus Nezuko of course, set off to face many demons, and even managed to defeat the lowest of the low-ranked Kizuki, which causes Muzan to seriously reconsider whether there should even be a lower rank. Dude about to make it the 6th Kizuki. Along the way, Tanjiro and his friends meet the Hashira, one of whom they get close to, Kyojuro Rengoku, a Hashira who perishes in the Mugen Train arc. They also meet the Sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui, who is in charge of a mission in the Entertainment District, in which they must flush out a brother and sister duo of demons, both of which register under the number of the upper ranks. After this arc ended, the 2nd season came to a close. The next season has been confirmed, but no definite date is given. Most believe it'll possibly be in late 2023. Number 9. Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen is a rather popular show that most recently had a feature film in the cinemas. It focuses on a rather dark world in which people naturally flow with negative energies known as curses. They create curses when they give off too much cursed energy. Some people can control this energy though, and those people are known as Jujutsu sorcerers. There is a special school where these teenagers go to study their abilities. One of these students is Yuji Itadori. Yuji's friends within the occult club cause trouble when they unseal a finger talisman that belongs to a powerful curse, known as Ryomen Sukuna. In an effort to protect his friends, Yuji consumes the finger. Due to the nature of Sukuna, the Jujutsu sorcerers need to exorcise the curse, and this will lead to the death of Yuji. However, Yuji displays amazing control over cursed energy, and so Sotaro Gojo, the teacher of Megami Fushiguro, vouches for him and asks them to postpone killing him to give him a chance to consume the remaining fingers in the hopes that they can eliminate the curse all at once. They begrudgingly allow him to join their school. Meanwhile, a corrupted Jujutsu sorcerer known as Suguru Geto, as well as a strong curse named Mahito, launch an attack on the Jujutsu world with curses. He sets his sight on the Shibuya ward of Tokyo to unleash a world of pain. But Gojo arrives alongside Yuji and many other sorcerers to stop him. This leads to a massive battle in which Gojo is sealed into an artifact. It's then revealed that Gito, who had been killed by Gojo previously, was not actually the sorcerer he knew, but actually the spirit of an ancient sorcerer named Kenjaku who had possessed his body. In the end, Yuji and Megami team up with Yuta and Yuki to meet with Tengen, a half-curse, half-human who possesses immortality, and it's revealed that Kenjaku plans to merge Tengen's consciousness with all of Japan. It's then that Kenjaku goes into full-out war with the sorcerers. Now, of course, there was the movie that was recently dropped, Jujutsu Kaisen 0. This movie served as a prequel to the series and joins how Yuta joined the school. He also was one with a strange curse, but instead of eating a finger, it was the spirit of his childhood sweetheart. He had sworn to marry him when they got older, but she was tragically killed in a traffic accident which traumatized Yuta. Ever since, he's been followed by the curse that tended to protect him. Basically, it was Yuta's star platinum. And very similarly, it tended to beat the crap out of people and hurt them. The Jujutsu Society planned to kill him to deal with his special grade curse known only as Rika. Yuta wanted to die to save the people around him from the violent and overprotective curse. However, Gojo convinces him to join Jujutsu Technical High instead. It's here that Gito appears to unleash curses that will destroy non-sorcerer humans. This launches a battle between the Jujutsu sorcerers and the curses. Gojo, in the end, kills Gito, which explains why he's just a possessed corpse in the series proper, and due to his willingness to sacrifice himself to Rika for her help, he frees her. It's revealed that both Gojo and Yuta are descendants of a powerful sorcerer, and Rika bids Yuta a heartwarming goodbye. Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen is planned to release sometime in 2023. Number 8. Pokemon. Pokemon has been popular longer than I've been alive. Starting as a video game series, it would later go on to spawn both an anime and a manga series, both of which are fairly different from each other in both tone and plot. Pokemon is a series that has spanned 9 different generations, with each generation possessing at least 1 or perhaps more seasons of the show. Pokemon has been a popular children's show for years and remains as one of the most popular series of all time. Most children, and probably parents, know who Pikachu is, and this is likely due to the quick rise of the mobile game Pokemon Go. Since the release of that mobile game, Pokemon has been heavily in the public eye, releasing various new games including Sun and Moon, as well as its Ultra variants, Sword and Shield, and most recently Scarlet and Violet. Ever since Ash Ketchum won the Alola Pokemon League, claiming his first ever champion title, people have been hyped up for him. And this hype translated into the more recent Pokemon Journeys series, which began to show Ash, with his new friend Go, traveling to new regions and old regions alike, encountering friends new and old as well. Not to mention that Ash finally owns a Lucario now. After the movie Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, in which Ash was directly stated to feel and apparently even look like a young Sir Aaron, we were only wondering when he would get one. The Journeys series began November 2019 and has played out through 3 seasons all the way to today, where the final episode of Pokemon Journeys releases on December 9th, likely leading into a new series following the recently released Scarlet and Violet. No rest for Pokemon trainers. Of course, in the West, Pokemon is still unsure when the series will end, as dubbing continued for the last 33 episodes. Besides the series and movies, Pokemon has been dabbling in shorts and spin-offs, which, while not exactly a new concept, are still interesting, with the new stuff still being released. Given the ease of Pokemon TV, as well as the fact that this beautiful streaming channel is free, adults and children alike binge it like crazy, earning it this spot on the list. Number 7. Dragon Ball. For many, this series is where it all started. A journey about a strange boy with a monkey tail evolved into so much more as soon as Z began, a series which many state to be the golden age of Dragon Ball. And while Dragon Ball Super has seen its share of criticism, it's still a popular show and is likely what most fans in Gen Z know. The irony is that Gen Z don't necessarily know what Dragon Ball Z even is. This is sad, but nowhere near the travesty of them not knowing what GT is. I love GT and I will die on that hill. Super Saiyan 4 is better than all the other forms. Fight me. The series follows after the end of Dragon Ball Z, in which the Super Saiyan Goku is enjoying his first time of peace after the defeat of many villains. From his first encounter with the currently rehabilitated Vegeta to his first skirmish with the evil Emperor Frieza, the perfect warrior Cell, and the maniacal menace Majin Buu, he has seen his fair share of fights, but all of them pale in comparison to what he will face in the Dragon Ball Super series. Stepping into the domain of the gods, Goku and Vegeta must face off against powerful opponents, from Beerus the Destroyer, who appears to challenge the Super Saiyan god of myth, to Jiren the Mortal, who has surpassed the gods. Goku's been doing nothing but growing stronger. Displeased with how easily he gained Super Saiyan God through a ritual, Goku as well as Vegeta set off to train with the Destroyer Beerus, and his attendant and teacher Whis, to learn how to use divine energy all by themselves. In doing so, they not only managed to achieve Super Saiyan God all by themselves, but they managed to add the principles of divine energy to their standard Super Saiyan form, giving birth to the tongue-twister form called Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, or for ease of speaking, the far less interesting name Super Saiyan Blue. They face off against the return of the evil Emperor Frieza and participate in a tournament between the destroyers of Universes 6 and 7 for the fate of Earth. They would later travel through time to help Vegeta's future son, Trunks, defeat a twisted god who had stolen the body of Goku from another timeline to use as a weapon. They also participated in an all-universe tournament in hopes of pleasing the ruler of all realms, Zeno. During this tournament, they meet many powerful warriors, but none as magnificent as Jiren, a mortal who, through pure self-discipline, was capable of toppling his own god of destruction, but possibly all of them. Only when Goku dug deep and harnessed the angelic technique of Ultra Instinct could he drag Jiren down. Goku and Vegeta would eventually meet a new Saiyan under the control of Frieza named Broly, who they would manage to befriend after perhaps the most hyped up battle in history. Most recently though, a lot of the hype surrounding Dragon Ball would be found in the recent manga chapters, which are set to return the 20th of December, as well as the most recent movie, Dragon Ball Super: Superhero. And while the name is redundant, the reception of the movie is over the moon. With rumors of a new season of the anime waiting in the wings and a new manga arc, this is the perfect time for Dragon Ball fans to catch up with the series, and that's exactly what they've been doing. It's a wonderful time for Dragon Ball fans to be alive. And ever since the recent showing of Frieza's new Black Frieza form, people can't help but crave more information on the form, and more content surrounding the evil Emperor himself. Number 6. Spy X Family. A recent addition to the anime obsession is Spy X Family. In a world where we're all in love with political intrigue and secret agents, Spy X Family has its spot. Originally a manga serialized bi-weekly as part of Shonen Jump's lineup, it has recently been adapted into an anime. The series is set in a world where tensions are high between two rival nations, known as Westalis and Ostania. As a part of Westalis's Operation Strix, a secret agent known as Twilight is sent to Ostania to spy on a politician there named Donovan Desmond, who's the leader of the National Unity Party. However, Desmond is a bit of a recluse, and the only possible way for Twilight to get close to him is to enroll a child into the same school as Donovan's child, Eden Academy. To do so, he needs to adopt a child. He begins to form a faux family, marrying an assassin, and together they form a family known as the Forger family. Just take a moment to admire the family name. Yes, the Forger family. Under the name Lloyd Forger, he agrees to marry Yor to help them both fulfill their separate goals. Together they adopt a child named Anya, who becomes the device to help Twilight get close to Donovan. The issue with that is that the girl just so happens to be a telepath, so she knows exactly who he is and what he's after. He fights to help her get in and keeps her from getting expelled. The goal is to help promote peaceful relationships between Westalis and Ostania, and to stay close to him to ensure that he isn't planning anything that could possibly ruin these relations. To help with this, he hopes to get Anya to become good friends with Damien Desmond, but this doesn't go over well, as the first time she meets him, she punches him in the face. Also, did I mention that they have a pet dog named Bond? Yes, he's named after that Bond, and he can see the future? Yeah, the series is still releasing regularly in Japan. Number 5. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Where do I start with this? I suppose the best thing to say about JoJo's is that it is, well, bizarre. From the art style to the concept and even the way that everyone dresses, it isn't something that you'd see every day. And likely because of that, people love it. JoJo's most recent part, Stone Ocean, has been anticipated by the fanbase ever since the end of Golden Wind in 2019. Releasing exclusively, at least for now, on Netflix, people have been binging the series as soon as each part dumps. Instead of releasing it in one episode per week, Netflix released the first third of the season all at once, which has seen some criticism by fans who feel that it affects the pacing and hype, as they tend to binge it all at once instead of waiting until the rest of the season arrives. The final batch of the series will release on the 1-year anniversary of this season's start, ending on December 1st, 2022. The series follows a family from England known as the Joestars. Each one is born with a star-shaped mark on their shoulder, and they are a group that fate has chosen. The family will clash with the overarching antagonist of the series, Dio Brando. Dio is the son of an abusive and alcoholic father who uses him for all that he's worth. Dario is a man with no honor. Upon finding the overturned Joestar wagon, he attempts to loot it, only to find the surviving George Joestar and his infant son, Jonathan. These two were the only survivors. In a twist of luck, George believes Dario has saved them, and Dario goes along with it. George promises a favor to Dario, and as Dario's on his deathbed, a bed that Dio had put him in, he bequeathed his favor to Dio, stating that he will send Dio to live with the Joestars who will adopt him. Dio takes the favor, spits on his father's grave, and proceeds to turn the Joestar's life upside down. He attempts to take charge, sucking up to George and torturing Jonathan, hoping to make himself look like a better option for being willed the Joestar family fortune. But he takes things a couple steps too far and angers the normally timid Jonathan, who proceeds to beat him senseless for attacking his sweetheart, Erina Pendleton. For a few years, everything seems to be fine, but George grows sick and Jonathan suspects Dio is behind it. After discovering the fate of Dario, Jonathan discovers Dio's plot and attempts to have him arrested. Dio then proceeds to take a stone mask that the Joestar family has been protecting for years and use it on himself to turn himself into a vampire. He sets the mansion ablaze and kills everyone within, except for Jonathan, who escapes and begins to train to learn ripple breathing under William Zeppeli. Jonathan would eventually face off against Dio, where he would defeat them. Dio would survive and come back on the honeymoon between Jonathan and Erina, where he would kill Jonathan, sever his head, and take his body for his own. He then gets aboard his coffin, which he uses to escape the ship's explosion. He would later be found by fishermen in the year 1987. Dio would begin to set up an underground empire, hoping to take revenge against the Joestars for opposing him. Dio discovers arrows from the desert, which awaken a special psychic energy known as stands. Dio awakens his stand, named after the tarot card The World, or Zawarudo. Unbeknownst to him, this awakens it in Jotaro Kujo, a descendant of the Joestar family. Together with a group of other stand users and his grandfather Joseph Joestar, Jotaro sets off for Egypt, where he faces off against Dio and manages to kill him with Star Platinum, although this is not without costs, as many of his friends perish in the battle. Years later, after a short serial killer hunt in Morio, Japan, Jotaro's daughter, Jolene Kujo, is imprisoned for an extended amount of time due to the influence of a priest named Pucci, who is a follower of Dio in the 80s. Pucci plans to hold Jolene to keep her from discovering his plan to achieve heaven and reset the world's timeline. Will Jolene ever be able to stop Pucci? Well, I mean, the manga's adapted form has only been out for nearly 20 years, but I won't spoil it for you. Number 4. Naruto. Naruto, while the series has long since transformed into Boruto, son of Naruto, many fans are disappointed with the anime series, opting to remain faithful to the manga only, since it tends to tell the better story and with less filler. And while Boruto isn't universally accepted, that hasn't stopped Naruto's popularity, as many fans flock straight to Naruto and Naruto Shippuden just to enjoy the adventure. Naruto Shippuden is still airing on Toonami every Saturday, and the streaming channel Pluto has a channel dedicated to the original Naruto series, all day every day. Naruto is a universally loved series, and is popular enough to give Dragon Ball a run for its money. No matter where you go, you will find someone wearing a Naruto shirt, or you'll find a chibi plush of Itachi sitting on a shelf. The series follows the titular protagonist as he journeys to discover what it's like to be loved in a world full of cold warriors. He attempts to fight not only the darkness in his heart, represented by the nine-tails demon fox, but he also endeavors to heal the pains in the hearts of others, such as Sasuke Uchiha, his childhood friend and teammate, who forsook him and the rest of the village in an attempt to get revenge on his brother who slaughtered his entire clan. On this journey, he makes many friends and enemies, and uncovers the hidden truth of where the tailed beasts come from, and the sage who first taught them to use chakra. He faces off against the nefarious terrorist organization known as the Akatsuki, which was formed for good purposes but was twisted by the cruelty of the world. The influence of Madara Uchiha slowly began to spread through the organization the more that Zetsu and Obito Uchiha got involved. And in the end, the final goal of the Akatsuki was the same as Madara Uchiha: to form a world where there were only winners and no losers, where there were only conquerors and no conquered, a world where they could escape from the endless causal cycle of happiness and sorrow, a dream world. And that would be brought to pass by the use of the Rinnegan and the Ten Tails. In his own way, Madara wanted to help people find happiness, but this was a flawed plan, and was one that was manipulated by Kaguya Otsutsuki from the background to facilitate her return and reclamation of all the chakra in the world, which had originally come from her. After this defeat, Naruto finally fulfills his lifelong dream of becoming Hokage. He marries Hinata Hyuga and gives birth to two children, Boruto and Himawari Uzumaki. Though his relationship with his son is strained, they manage to put aside their differences to fight against the new Otsutsuki clan members, Momoshiki and Kinshiki. Boruto is marked by Momoshiki as his new vessel, which becomes its own issue. And eventually, Naruto and Kurama give their all against Ishiki, resulting in the death of Kurama. Number 3. Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is one of the most hyped up anime series this year, spending months as the #1 most viewed show on Crunchyroll during the time of the 4th season's second part. The story is a dark one and full of death and pain. It also poses multiple moral questions as to who or what a hero or villain truly is, with the series tending to stick with protagonist and antagonist instead, with the title of protagonist shifting around a lot. By the start of the 4th season, the protagonist title has been passed on from Eren Yeager to Reiner Braun, who is still dealing with the trauma of what he did on Paradise Island years earlier, having been responsible for the deaths of thousands of people when he and the late Berthold Hoover breached Wall Maria in an attempt to probe the reaction of King Fritz, whom they assumed possessed the Founding Titan. They were unaware that the Founding Titan had already been usurped by the former bearer of the Attack Titan, Grisha Yeager. It was afterward that these Titan abilities were passed down to Eren Yeager via cannibalism, allowing Eren to take on the powers, though he did not know he had them until the warrior unit breached Trost of Wall Rose. It was due to Eren's presence that the tide was turned and Wall Rose was defended and resealed. Eren would go on to attempt to reach Shiganshina, where he hoped to get into his father's study in hopes of learning where Titans come from. At first, the Scouts expedition was a bust due to the interference of Annie Leonhardt, another warrior and holder of the female Titan. They managed to capture Annie after an operation, but she seals herself up in hardened, crystallized Titan skin. As the Beast Titan, Zeke Yeager, the estranged half-brother of Eren, begins to assault Wall Rose, it's revealed that Reiner and Berthold were reluctant enemies the whole time, which leads to an ultimate showdown in Shiganshina where the warriors are defeated and Berthold is killed, his Titan seized by Armin Arlert. However, as they are awarded by Queen Astoria Reese, Eren sees a horrible future which leaves him mentally and emotionally scarred. This leads to his turn into the series' antagonist, as he plans to kill every person on Earth. To do so, he starts by recruiting Zeke and seizing the Warhammer Titan. Reiner, who was already a broken man due to guilt, manages to swallow his depression and suicidal thoughts to save his niece and her Falco, who were accidentally taken prisoner by Paradise. They invade Paradise again, where Reiner encounters Eren once more, but he gets his ass kicked, and Eren manages to awaken the Founding Titan by coming into physical contact with Zeke. Having transformed into this massive form, Eren lets out a roar that awakens all the colossal titans hiding in the walls that once protected humanity, turning Paradise's shield into a flaming sword. He begins to set off the destruction of the world, leaving a fanatical cult to defend the home front from treason. However, the scouts and warriors team up to find Eren and set off to the sea, where they plan to hijack a small plane to find Eren. The anime should return sometime in 2023. Number 2. One Piece. The moment Attack on Titan's second part of Season 4 ended, the ratings on Crunchyroll began to wane, and One Piece, which had previously been in second place, reclaimed its place as the #1 show on Crunchyroll. And with the recent chapters of One Piece coming out, hyping up Luffy's new form as we realize his gum gum fruit is actually the legendary human fruit, Model Nika. That, on top of the fact that a new movie is about to drop, has One Piece fans hyped on that same level that Dragon Ball fans were with the release of Broly and Superhero. The story revolves around a young boy who dreams of becoming king of the pirates. To do so, he hopes to find the One Piece, a treasure left behind by the legendary pirate Gol D. Roger. As a child, he was friends with a pirate lord named Shanks, who had brought back a mysterious fruit known as a devil fruit. This fruit will grant wondrous powers to whoever eats it, but at the cost of being cursed by the sea. In other words, Luffy can't swim. Luffy ate the fruit, much to Shanks' chagrin. As Shanks left the island, though, he left behind a straw hat for Luffy, who promised to find him and return it to him. And so, Luffy's journey to become the king of the pirates begins. Along for the journey would be Luffy's crew, the Straw Hat Pirates. Roronoa Zoro, a swordsman who made a promise to become the best swordsman in the world after his best friend, a girl with the same dream, tragically died. He opts to use the three-sword style, which has him hold one sword in each hand and the third in his mouth. On his hunt to find the legendary swordsman Mihawk, he becomes known as the Pirate Hunter Zoro. That is, until he's recruited by Luffy. Then there's Nami, a girl whose mother was killed by the infamous fishman pirate Arlong, whose crew had taken over her island. In an attempt to buy her freedom from the village, Nami becomes a cartographer for Arlong, hoping to one day fulfill her dream of mapping the entire world. She would later join Luffy's crew after he defeats Arlong and his crew. After her we meet Usopp, a tall tale-telling scoundrel who has a somewhat cowardly disposition. He often tells his stories to Kaya until he joins the Straw Hat Pirates, hoping to follow in his father's footsteps. We also have Sanji, a cook and ladies' man whose food is far too good for the Straw Hat crew. He was rescued by Redfoot Zeph, who jumps into the sea to save Sanji from drowning. This results in the foot-fighting pirate needing to remove his leg to keep them from drowning. They spend time as castaways, where whatever food they get he gives Sanji due to their shared dream of finding the All Blue, a place where the North, South, East, and West Blues meet, which contains all kinds of fish. For a while, Sanji works with Zeph in their restaurant until he's recruited by Luffy. Chopper is the doctor of the group and an anthropomorphic reindeer. Having been rescued by a doctor after he was rejected by his herd due to his red nose and devil fruit powers, Chopper became an extremely good doctor, and now sails with Luffy. Nico Robin was a child who loved to read and ended up becoming an archaeologist, whose goal in life was to find the lost history of the world. She would eventually be hunted by the government for this and then would join Luffy's crew. Frankie studied under a shipwright who built Gol D. Roger's vessel. The shipwright Tom would be revealed to be working on a secret weapon that the government wanted. Frankie would attempt to rescue his master but was mortally wounded. The only way he could survive was by becoming a cyborg. He gained a reputation before he officially joined Luffy's crew. Brook was a pirate before Gol D. Roger's legend, and he was a part of the Rumbar Pirates. When their captain died, Brook took over, but they were all annihilated. However, Brook came back to life due to the Revive fruit, which allowed him to live as a skeleton. He would also join Luffy's crew. Jinbei. He was a fishman who grew up on Fishman Island. He joined the Royal Navy, but eventually would opt to join the Sun Pirates instead under Fish Tiger. When their captain died, Jinbei took over as captain, but disbands the group when offered amnesty for them, as well as the warlord status for himself. He resigns that status when he joins the Whitebeard Pirates in their war against the government. At first, Jinbei turns down Luffy's offer to join his crew as he had planned to join Big Mom's crew, but eventually would join after leaving Big Mom. And number 1, Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is a new anime that has taken the world by storm. Set in an alternate timeline where the Soviet Union still exists, the series tells the story of Denji, a man who did work for the Yakuza as a devil hunter. But in the end, he was betrayed when, as it turns out, the Yakuza were run by a devil. He's saved, however, after the chainsaw devil, Pochita, becomes his heart after he was stabbed in it repeatedly. He becomes Chainsaw Man and begins to work as a public safety devil hunter. When it comes down to it though, and it's time to fight devils, all he has to do is pull a cord on his chest and suddenly his head is a chainsaw now. He hunts devils who are the embodiments of concepts and human fears, such as the fear of war. The stronger a fear is, the stronger the devil it creates. Whenever a devil is killed, it's sent to hell, but if it's killed in hell, it's sent back to earth. Despite this, in hell there are a group of powerful devils that have never been killed. These are known to be the Primal Fears. So far, Chainsaw Man is still in its first season, but critics love the change of pace for a shonen-based series, where with most shonen protagonists, like Ash Ketchum, Naruto, Goku, and Luffy, they all want to be the best at their specific occupations. Denji just wants to be a normal person. After inheriting his dead father's debts to the Yakuza, he just craves to live a normal life. The series can be quite gory, and as you might expect from a series about killing devils with chainsaws, it's also very dark and has a good punch of humor. Go watch it! And that is the end of our top 10 list. What do you think? What was your favorite anime you've seen this year? There are so many great options, but my personal favorite may always be Attack on Titan. Can't get over Titans. Your shifters are cool and your pure Titans are hilarious. I'll never get over watching them charge under Zeke's command. Leave a comment below to tell us what you think, and be sure to give the video a like. Subscribe if you haven't, and ring the bell to be notified when new content like this drops. Peace.